I'm your huckleberry.
This is the Smoking Guns Podcast.
No G with a Z, P-O-D. It's the Smoking Guns Podcast. My name is Philip Higginbotham, if you've forgotten, because I don't think I've been in front of this mic in like a month or something.
Been a minute.
There was this whole hurricane thing, and then youth camp is always a thing for me every year that I always skip out on a week on. They just happen to be back to back. We survived Hurricane Beryl down here in Palacios and got through youth camp. And then last week we took a week off to kind of recoup from the season. It's been a long season. This is our 23rd show of the season, and those are almost weekly. I think we may have missed 1 or 2 weeks in there. When you look at a calendar and you realize there are 52 weeks in the year, you know that we have been going almost half the year weekly with the Smoking Guns Podcast. So just missing one here or there is kind of amazing when you get down to it. My name is Philip Higginbotham. I'm joined, as always, by Leo Yamas, and shortly we'll be joined by our good friend R.C. Woods as we talk about professional football in San Antonio, specifically professional football that deals with the San Antonio Gunslingers of the Indoor Football League. We also cover the San Antonio Brahmas of the United Football League. Won't be talking much about them tonight because they have not played in like 2 months. And so there's really just not, I mean, there's some stuff to talk about. I guess we could start talking about the fact that apparently the Houston Roughnecks have decided we want all of that team and have come in and just kind of robbed a bunch of the Brahmas players. But we're not going to spend a lot of time on that because go ahead, Leo.
I was going to say, we kind of did that to them this past season, right? Like
we did.
Because in essence,
did. Like that.
The Brahmas wore the Roughnecks of the previous year with some Brahmas players added in.
Yeah, apparently we're just going to trade back and forth. But we're not going to talk a lot about the Brahmas. We are going to talk about the Gunslingers. The Gunslingers have finished their season. They finished the season at 8-8. Their first year in the Indoor Football League. James Palmer says, can they being the Roughnecks, take the quarterback since he doesn't show up when it matters? Yes, they can. Mm-hmm. They can have Chase Garbers all day long. Actually, Leo is really hoping that Chase Garbers becomes a starting quarterback in the NFL with the team he's on right now. Don't you, Leo?
What? Absolutely not.
He signed with the Raiders. You don't want that guy quarterbacking the Raiders?
No, I missed that. I missed that news. Oh,
I think he's with the. Is that
you
know what happened to him?
That would be great. That would be great. Okay, I take it back.
We want the best for Chase Garbers. Let him start in Las Vegas. That sounds wonderful. Jason Wood checking in. James Palmer checking in. He was lost last Monday. I've been lost for several Mondays. Jay Washington checking in. We are going to talk a lot about the Gunslingers and their final game, and then we're going to talk about the final, the end of the season and kind of what we expected and what we got. It'll be a great show. We want to hear your best and worst of the San Antonio professional football season, not the week, but the whole season. Your bullseye, your bullspit for the entire season. That may be the Brahmas. That may be the Gunslingers. I think we all have the same sort of bullspit when it comes to Chase Garbers. So maybe hold that one because we all know how we feel about that. But you personally, what were your highlights of the season? And we're going to have some special guests on. We're going to be joined by Chase Risman. Mm-hmm. He's going to come on. We've had him on the show before. He writes for, help me out, Leo.
Coast to Coast Sports.
Coast to Coast Sports. That's right.
Yep.
He writes for Coast to Coast Sports and covers the Gunslingers. He's going to come on in a few minutes. We're going to talk about the season finale against the Rattlers, a loss on the scoreboard, 41-34. Leo, we've had this conversation now for the past 2 weeks because that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But really a game where if any one of the San Antonio Gunslingers playmaking players has the game that he's capable of, any one of them,
Just give us
we
one.
win the game. But
Yeah.
everybody was flat. Everybody had a rough time. TC Stevens didn't kick, I don't think, a single deuce, maybe one. We did not get the Sam Castronova that we normally get. We did not get some of the Kali Rashad moments. Naquan Murray had a great touchdown, and that's like it. Like that was the play of the game. And
Yeah.
it was really rough all the way around. It kind of a flat way to end the season. We lose 41-34 to the Rattlers. Is what it is.
It was a disappointing performance for sure. And, you hate to harp on our guys and to go out like that. But I'm pretty sure if you asked any one of those guys, looking back and ask them about the performance of that last game, they'd all be disappointed in it as well. So we're just sharing in their disappointment. It is what it is. Like you said, things just didn't go the Gunslingers' way that day on the field, at least. Off the field, in the stands. It was another great day in the Freeman Coliseum and a lot of fun, and the crowd really showed up and showed out, and that was something to be proud of. But on the field, it wasn't clicking, unfortunately.
Probably the best game day atmosphere all season long in the Freeman Coliseum. Just incredible energy. Not that it's been bad. Like, I don't think there was a single game where the energy was down or things were bad. That weekday game, what was it, a Thursday night game or something like that, was a little tough for us to get through. We'll have some ownership on later, and I think they've already told the IFL and the Freeman Coliseum we're not doing that no more. James Palmer says, I'm shocked Leo doesn't have a new item hanging in that empty spot on his wall. You won the Sam Castronova signed game-worn jersey.
Working on getting a frame.
Yeah. As we speak. And we're going to find out about some of the awards for the year, which is something I want to talk briefly about as we get a little further into the show. I talked with Sam Castronova, and he doesn't think he's the MVP of the league. Like, he'll take it. He's okay with it. But he said it's really hard to give the MVP of the league to a guy on a team that went 8-8, did not make the playoffs. He said, I expect to be offensive player of the year, but I don't think I'll be the MVP.
I'm not surprised to hear that from him. No, as his opinion, that doesn't surprise me. But
that would be wrong. Like, that would be the wrong thing for the IFL to do.
I agree with you. Absolutely. Yes. I'm just not surprised that that's his feeling on it, knowing the type of guy that he is and how competitive he is. I'm sure he would rather have, more marks in the win column than what they ended up with, and give up some of those stats for that. And he'd be much happier about it. So
sure. The good guys are always the guys you want on your team. And certainly as the leaders of your team are always the guy that says, I don't care about the individual accolades. I want team success. I want wins. I want championships. I want all of us to be successful over me being successful. I think we all expect Sam to be that kind of guy. That being said, I don't know. I can't make an argument. I can't reasonably look at the numbers and the output of every player in the IFL and come to any other conclusion than Sam is your MVP.
Right.
And it's been that way for weeks. Like, it's been he's had that sewn up for over a month in my mind. But that record may hurt him.
Yep.
Since we're talking about this, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, outside of the team record, there's lots of records that now belong to Sam Castronova and just the performance he had of this season. So it's the one setback for him in when it comes to considering that award. And I understand why he feels that way, but absolutely 100% he's deserving.
Yeah, I don't know. Rushing touchdowns, I think he Let's see. I'm looking right now. He's 9th in rushing touchdowns. He's a quarterback, and he's 9th in rushing touchdowns. Passing touchdowns, of course, I think he's first. First over Nate Davis. Nate Davis, another strong contender for kind of that MVP role, I think. While we're talking about this, there's somebody waiting in the wings that probably has some opinions on all of this too, because he spent all season watching the Gunslingers and watching from a little bit more of a journalistic sort of bent than you and I. You and I are fans. Like Leo and I and RC, we're fans. We're not afraid to admit that. When I throw on my headset and I call the game, I try to put as much of that aside as I can. But when we come on the show here, we're fans. We're just fans having a good time.
Right.
Chase Risman, though, is covering for Sports Coast to Coast, and he is a journalist. He's a guy that is covering the team, and so he can be maybe a little more objective than we are. So let's bring him in right now, and let's ask him that question right away. Chase, is Sam Castronova, despite the record, the 8-8 record, is he the MVP just kind of running away for the IFL when they announce it here in a couple of weeks?
I definitely think he'll be in the top 5, maybe top 3. But as far as I'm concerned, I'd probably have to go the candidates left: Max Maylor of the Green Bay Blizzard, or Nate Davis of the San Diego Strikeforce, maybe even Dalton Sneed of the Arizona Rattlers, just because they made the playoffs. They've got a chance to get to the IFL National Championship. I definitely think Sam should definitely be in the running, but I don't think he's going to win it.
I mean, Dalton Sneed was out for a chunk of the season over in Arizona. You think that he still put together the kind of season resume that makes that possible to be better than Sam's season?
Yeah, I don't know if you heard me. I completely forgot about that, but I forgot that Dalton Sneed missed a good chunk of the season. Yeah, the way he's played recently, because the Rattlers didn't get off to a great start. They were struggling a while, and he got things back on track. The Rattlers turned their season around, especially offensively. And I would say just for that, he should be an MVP candidate. If I had to choose right now, I'm going either between Max Maylor and Nate Davis. And I'm giving it to Max Maylor just because nobody thought the Blizzard were going to make the playoffs this season. Never mind go 13-3 and make the Eastern Conference Championship game.
Right. I mean, look, Nate Davis is second in touchdowns thrown. He threw 72 touchdowns. Sam Castronova throws 75 touchdowns. That's all well and good. But Nate Davis has 17 interceptions to Sam Castronova's 7. That's a considerable difference. So you got close numbers in the touchdown numbers. You got this kind of chasm between them when it comes to turning the ball over. That's got to count for something. How about we say it this way, Chase? Let me change the narrative a little bit and say, if Sam Castronova does not win MVP or Offensive Player of the Year, there's something wrong with the system.
I definitely think that's the case if he doesn't win Offensive Player of the Year. Like that, that one I think he will win. When you throw 75 touchdowns and what was it, 7 interceptions, I think it was?
Yeah, 7 interceptions. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, all right, he should win that award. I mean, you have a season like that, and I get they went 8-8. They didn't make the playoffs, but he was the reason they were able to win a lot of the games that they did this season. So, yeah, I would have to say he should be the IFL Offensive Player of the Year. Hi, RC, how are you?
Oh, pretty good. How are you?
I'm great.
RC
Nice.
joining us from her lair there. Or actually, I guess it's Jerry's lair, isn't it?
Yes,
Isn't it
it's Jerry's.
man cave? So let me just I want to beat this conversation to death because we don't get another opportunity to do this. We're probably wrapping up the season here. We may have 1 more or 2 more shows left in us before we officially close out the 4th season of the Smoking Guns podcast. But I really just want to beat this conversation to death. Sam Castronova, 75 touchdowns. Nate Davis, 72 touchdowns. In my opinion, those are your 2 contenders. I think everybody else, and here's why. The next closest person in touchdowns, Josh Jones, Northern Arizona, 56. So you see a drop-off of nearly 20 touchdowns when you get to third. 18 touchdowns difference between first and third. So to me, it's a two-person race. It's Nate Davis and Sam Castronova.
Is this
in
for
my opinion.
NFL Offensive Player of the Year or MVP?
MVP. Either one. Like really both. I think you give one and one the other, and you're covered all the way around. Like I kind of feel like you need to give both their due. It's so hard to me to say Sam Castronova 8-8 record when that 8-8 record is not Sam Castronova's fault. You could make a big case that defense and special teams, like the times Sam Castronova wasn't on the field, was the problem with the Gunslingers this year.
It was.
Couldn't you?
I mean, they had the second highest scoring offense in the IFL this season, and they didn't make the playoffs because they had the worst scoring defense. They give the most points in the league per game. So, yeah, I totally agree with you there. That's not Sam Castronova's fault, and I don't think he should be punished for that.
Looking at other numbers here, I'm looking to see where Nate Davis is on rushing.
Yeah, he's a bit down the list on rushing.
I'm still looking. I haven't seen him in 40. He's got to have a decent number of rushing touchdowns, right? Question mark. So Sam Castronova is in ninth. He has 23 rushing touchdowns. I am looking for Nate Davis's name. I see Dalton Steed's name. I do not see Nate Davis's name in the rushing touchdowns, which means he has less. Which means he doesn't have any. Question mark?
That seems
That can't be
odd.
right.
Very odd.
That can't be right. Can it?
No, he's got to have at least one.
Yeah, you'd think, but maybe then run the ball with the QB option.
So what were your thoughts about 2 Saturday nights ago? You were there in the building in the Freeman Coliseum. Let's start off the field, Chase. What were your thoughts of just the atmosphere? You've been at most, if not all, of the games for the Gunslingers. I kind of made the comment right as you were popping into the green room that I think it was the highest energy, sort of best atmosphere that we've had. We've had some really good ones, but it felt like that Outlaw night was kind of just it. It kind of brought the season to a satisfying close as far as the energy and crowd in the building. How did you feel about that?
That was a lot of fun to see. I mean, even though a good chunk of the arena was made up of Rattlers fans, it wasn't as bad as I was expecting, having been to Talon's Rattlers games at the Alamo Dome. Nevertheless, that was a great crowd. They did a great job showing up, and for a team that was already eliminated from playoff contention, that was great to see all the fans that showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they said it was the largest crowd in Gunslingers history so far.
I hadn't heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised by that. It did look like probably the biggest crowd, at least of the season, but I wouldn't be surprised to know that it was the largest crowd in history, or since we've been there at the Freeman Coliseum.
It's between
like we have
that one and the military appreciation was very high also.
Yeah.
Feels like 2 years ago, the first year in the NAL, we had a very large attendance at a game against the Jacksonville Sharks. But if I remember correctly, like 80% of those tickets were comped. Like they were just given away. That was right when I think the new ownership had taken over and they were just trying to get the product in front of eyeballs. And so they just gave away thousands of tickets. And I think we had a huge crowd there. But I think this was definitely the largest paying crowd. We can ask those questions a little later when ownership comes in and spend some time with us. What did you think about on the field, Chase? What was the difference between Arizona and San Antonio on the field? Do you think?
I think it was just Arizona, trying to keep their playoff streak alive. I mean, the Gunslingers had nothing to play for, and the Rattlers knew that. That's why they didn't overlook them. Kevin Guy doesn't let the Rattlers do that. And, they were trying just to make the playoffs, and they didn't want the playoff streak to end. They were ready. They knew the Gunslingers wanted to play spoiler. And give San Antonio credit, they didn't go away. And, I thought Arizona was going to pull away a couple times. They fought back, but the Rattlers were able to get the win. That to me was the difference in that game. Arizona just had too much and did not want their playoff streak to come to an end.
Right. And it's hard. It's just going to be really hard for the individual player, no matter who they are, how competitive they are, to know that tomorrow it's over either way. Whether we win or lose, it's over. And I hurt, and I've been through a long season, and I'm beat up, and I'm a little dejected about how things have gone. It's just hard. It's harder. On the other side of the ball, you've got an Arizona team that was fighting for their playoff life, and with good reason, because now they're in the conference championship. Like, they knew if they could punch their ticket, they had an opportunity to go further. And that's what was on the other side of life. I'm not blaming our players or our coaches for not being up and ready. It's just, it's human nature to go, hey, no matter what happens here in the next 3 hours, we're finished. Like, tonight it is over. And I'm hurt and I'm beat up, and it's been a long season. It's hard to find that extra gear. It just is.
Yeah. They're human beings,
Right. Yeah, I know that from experience because, almost 11 years to the day, actually, the Talons were in a similar situation. They had nothing to play for, and they were playing the Philadelphia Soul, who had a chance to clinch the number 1 seed in the conference, and the Talons beat them. So they had nothing to play for, and they were able to put that behind them and get a win. I think everybody was hoping the Gunslingers would do the same thing against Arizona, but the Rattlers just had so much more on the line, and they were able to get the job done.
So I know how we feel about this as fans. Like I say, we are fans. You are more of a journalist. Just from an objective sort of perspective, Chase, first season in the IFL, you go 8-8. If you're over in the East, you make the playoffs.
Right.
You happen to be in the West and you don't. You have beat one of the Eastern Conference Championship teams. You beat them twice. You played them twice. You beat them twice.
Right.
All of that said, I feel like all of us, we'll go around the room and say what we think here in a minute. Is that a successful first season in the IFL as far as you are concerned, from this sort of objective place that you get to come from?
Yes. To come into this league with all the parity in it and to go 8-8, you go to Frisco and win. They hadn't lost at home in 15 regular season home games. You sweep Massachusetts, and they're still in contention for the IFL National Championship. Yes, it's a good season. Obviously, I think they wanted to make the playoffs, but at the same time, considering all things considered, I can't consider it a bad season.
Leo and recognize that we've asked this question before midseason, and we had one answer. So work that into your response here. But Leo, how do you feel? Is 8-8? Is it a successful season? Was this good enough for the first season?
For the first season, yes. I think for the first season, it is, because being an expansion team, I think there were a lot of lessons learned this first season by the team, by the franchise. Yeah.
Right.
Expansion in air quotes, as Chase says.
Yeah.
Yeah. The talent level was definitely there where you expect that they would have had some success had they been able to get into the playoffs, and certainly in the other conference. Some things didn't go their way. Scheduling was really tough. We've questioned some things about the officiating, but you know,
I'm gonna
you
get
gotta-
there.
You can only control the things you can't control. But the only time we're going to be able to answer this question is next year, and I'll tell you why. Next year we will have a definitive answer, and I mean at the beginning of the season.
Mhm.
If at the beginning of the season we know that we're able to keep certain players on our roster and carry over certain players to season 2, then you can chalk that up as a successful season and feel good about it. But if with some of the rules and regulations, we've talked about it with the veteran rule, and we're having to rebuild in ways that we don't want to rebuild this team, then you look at it back and you're not happy with it as a successful season because you wasted the talent on the roster on this team
So,
on an 8-8 season and not making the playoffs.
so Leo, I hear you calling this year our Last Jedi year. When Last Jedi came out, a bunch of people were like, "This was terrible. This movie was terrible," and I was like, "Wait, we won't know if this movie was any good
Oh,
until
now
we see the next movie. If we see the next movie and they do things right, this will be amazing."
yeah, those people aren't talking anymore.
As it turned out, Last Jedi ended up being incredible because the steaming pile of crap that Rise of Skywalker was made it look good by comparison.
It's not what happened, but whatever. Not a pile of crap.
RC, what about you? Do you think 8-8 is acceptable? Is that a worthwhile season for our first season in the IFL?
Definitely worthwhile because we have grown as an organization. We've grown as a team. There's going to be some aches and pains. It was the first year in this league, and I think we did better than most people thought we were going to do. If you look at the whole organization, including the cheerleaders, including the attendance, including the entertainment aspect of it, I would say very successful. We still have room to grow, definitely. But I think a lot of people thought we were going to be less than 8-8, and I'm okay with that, because I feel that it shows us our pros and our cons, our weaknesses and our strengths. And again, we don't know what next year is going to look like, but I always say you can learn 2 things from every person you meet and every event: what to do and what not to do. And I think if you look at that aspect of it, we were successful because we know what works and what didn't.
Okay.
Right. I mean, to go 8-8 in the conference they're in, the Western Conference is brutal. You look at all the teams that made it in, and then the teams that didn't get in, you have Northern Arizona that went 9-7, and then you have the Gunslingers that went 8-8. Like the Wranglers went 9-7, right? Am I?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I thought. I mean, that alone is brutal. And to finish 500, I would consider it a good year, all things aside.
All right. So all 3 of you have said, yeah, it was a successful year, and I guess I get to be the jerk. Yay, Philip gets to be the jerk and say, that's not what we said. That's not what we said. All through the season, it was playoffs or nothing. We didn't get there. You can tell me how bad the officiating was. You can tell me how we got screwed on the schedule. You can tell me that it's the first year in the IFL. You can tell me that we're in the West, but that's not what we said. We said we needed to make the playoffs. We didn't make the playoffs. So, do I think we learned things? Do I think it was a valuable season? Yes. Do I think it was a good season, a successful season? I don't know. Like, I was told at the beginning of this thing that we were going to run teams off the field by 30 or 40 points, and that didn't happen.
But was that realistic? Was that realistic?
Part of this is expectation management, and I don't think that was done well. And so while I want to give everybody the credit that they deserve all the way across this organization, from ownership to the coaches to the staff to the equipment manager. I love that they announced the equipment manager and the all of the people that they announce every game. Everybody needs all the credit because yes, we had a good season.
Mhm.
But if you ask me if it was a successful season, I was told success was going to be a playoff berth our first year in the league, and that's not what I got. And so had we managed expectations better on the front half, I'd probably feel very different about this season. But we didn't. We said this was the expectation, and we fell short of that. And so I think there has to be a certain amount of it was good. We learned things. Maybe what we learned is we need to change our expectations going into a season and realize this is going to be a little more of a battle than we thought it was going to be. But when you use the word successful, I don't know, man. I don't know.
How many games were we this close to winning?
Right. I think they lost 4 games by 1 score in the final seconds.
Right.
It wasn't like the first Northern Arizona game where they were down big and then they rallied to lose by 7, and then Northern Arizona, the game was already over at that point. They lost, I think, 4 games by 1 score, and they lost in the final seconds on that 1 score. So you win 1, maybe 2 of those games, you make the playoffs.
True, you're right. But to be fair, this is the indoor game where a lot of things are going to come down to, a razor thin sort of thing. Chase, where can people find you? If I've got somebody lined up right behind you, we're going to roll from you right into our next guest. Hey, Zach Brown checking in. Look at that. Still checking in with us. Zach, we miss you. We hope you're doing well up there in Albany. I think that's where he's at. We're going to roll right into the next person. Chase, where can people find you for your sports coverage, and what are you going to be doing now that Gunslinger season is over?
All right, so you can follow me on Twitter. Yes, I'm still calling it that.
It's Twitter. No,
yes,
it's Twitter. It Twitter.
Yes. You can follow me at Real Chase Risbon. I'll still cover the Gunslingers during the off season, like when they sign players or if anything happens. Until then, probably going to be watching the Packers, the Spurs, Oklahoma State football. So I'll probably do that while I'm waiting for the next season.
The Packers.
Yeah.
You lost all credibility, Chase. All credibility with that statement.
Okay. All right. Look, I wasn't going to go here, but since you bring up your Packers, you're a sports guy. You know what you're talking about. You pay attention to the sports world. Do you think Jordan Love deserves to be the highest paid quarterback ever in the NFL? Does that make sense to you, a Packers fan?
Ever. I guess I can see why it's going a little too far, but I definitely think he's worthy of being one of the highest paid quarterbacks. I mean, more than Mahomes? No. But, yeah. Like, more than Dak, I don't know, but top 5 for sure.
I am not ever going to fault a guy for getting paid whatever somebody's willing to pay them for their craft. I'm not going to fault you're an idiot if you say, oh, no, don't pay me that much. I'm not worth that much. You pay me less to do what I'm going to do for you anyways. Get as much as you can while you can get it, especially in a sport like football. Good for Jordan Love. It is what it is.
And Leo's never going to be upset with a team that goes, we think we have a decent quarterback. Let's throw a bunch of money at him, because he's a fan of a team that has done that a couple of times.
Stop.
Yeah, I mean, we can all go crazy over how much money and how much it ranks in history, but I mean, other than that, gosh.
Yeah.
Well, Chase, we appreciate everything you brought. We hope we connect with you again next year, and we're hoping this time next year we're still talking about Gunslinger football on the field. That would be all of our desires as we head into the conference championship week next year in 2025. And I think we can get there. I think there's some off-season management that has to happen, but I think we can absolutely get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see what happens. Obviously, if they can keep most of the roster, I think they got a great chance to get there, and we'll see what happens going forward.
Great. Chase Risman, he's on Sports Coast to Coast. Find him on Twitter. What's that Twitter handle?
At Real Chase Risman.
There you go, at Real Chase Risman. And he will get you all set up on Gunslingers news, even in the offseason, because there will be Gunslinger news in the offseason. This is going to be interesting to see how they manage all of the things they have to manage as we move into the offseason. Chase, thanks for stopping by and spending time with us this season. We can't wait
No problem.
to do some more
Thanks,
work with you
Chase.
next year.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Chase Risman, he's a great guy. Go give
He
him a
is.
follow on Twitter, even if you don't check Twitter. Like, open up the Twitter app on your phone that you've never opened up. Follow Chase so that he has the follows, and then close it out and forget that you had it again. That's fine. That's okay. You can do that. Give the guy some follows.
Yeah.
We will now connect with some of our favorite people, bar none, like two of our favorite people around the Gunslingers organization. We have lots of favorite people, but these are two of the top folks, and they happen to be together because they're always together. I can't imagine. They have to really love each other because they go home together. They come to the stadium together. They come to the arena together. They raise kids together. It's April and Jordan Stubing.
Yeah.
April, how do you put up with that? How do you deal with that? Like, it's Jordan all the time, isn't it?
It is. It sure is.
Jordan, I'm giving you a hard time, bud.
It's all good.
All right, so we asked the question of Chase Risman, and we all answered the question. 8-8. Is this a successful season?
It feels like it from our end. I mean, from a production side and from the show that we put on, I think it was a hugely successful season.
I would not disagree with that. I think that
Absolutely.
the work that went into, and I think it all culminated so well on that final game there, Outlaw Night, there on the 20th. It was just, the energy was different.
Yeah.
I think than any other, not that it's ever been bad, but it was just different.
Never.
It felt good. It felt awesome.
It was amped up. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We definitely went out with a bang. It felt like that was the
Bang.
culmination of the whole thing.
It made me want to roll right into the next 8 games without a break. Y'all,
Right.
I bet y'all wanted to just roll right into the next 8 games with no break, right? Just
They need
let's
a
go.
break.
Our goal this season, we always talk about, is elevating, right? Everything's about, like, let's elevate this season. Let's do everything that we can to make us, this team, this production, this organization, that much more better. And that's what we did. I definitely feel like we accomplished that. Even if the football side didn't turn out to be what we had imagined, I think the front office side and the organization and the people behind all of that really, really stepped it up. And I'm very proud of this season.
Yeah, football side is what it is. Like, there's going to be seasons. Hey, there's going to be losing seasons. Like, there's going to be seasons where we have a losing record. Like, those things are going to happen. There's going to be years that you go into the season with your MVP caliber quarterback, who may or may not be Sam Castronova, and something happens and he's out for 10 games. These things happen to teams. I don't want them to happen, but we need to recognize it as sports fans that if you think every season is going to be a playoff year and every season is going to be a championship, that ain't the way things work. Look at all of the stuff behind me and know that I know this very well. You do
And
not
the
win a
stuff behind me.
championship every year. What were some of the highlights to you guys on the production side? What were some of the things that just really stood out? I know it seems like a whirlwind, especially when you do 8 of them in 3 months worth of time. You try to put on 8 of these shows, but some of these things had to stick out to you. What about you guys? What stuck out to you this season?
You take that one.
Yeah, I'm behind most of what you see on the field. I'm behind most of the game production. And this season itself, I really tested myself and everybody that works for the Gunslingers, and let's really push us to the max. Like, what are we missing? And we send out these comment cards through email to people who show up at the games, and we really take that full heartedly. And I read them, and James reads them, and Weston, and there's like one of the ones I saw was that we don't take advantage of our promotional timeouts, for example, which I don't get promotional timeouts. I don't know. I don't call those. I didn't get much of those like actual like hard firm calls. I get like the last minute of the first and the second and the fourth quarter. No, first and third. Yeah. Second and fourth. But other than that, like they don't really call those for me. But I take those things to heart. And so after the season, I asked the 6 shooters. I said, I really think that we should add a couple more dances in there. Like if we can add some little promotional timeout dances like the other leagues do or the other teams do, I want to do that. So I pushed them to do more. And thankfully, Casey is wonderful, our coach Casey, and she passed it along to the silent leaders. So then the 6 shooters themselves, the silent leaders, were able to put their own choreography on the field for those little quarter dances, which I don't think anybody really knows that. But that was some of the 6 shooters did like, choreographing their own things for the girls to dance with them too. So that was really cool and empowering, the women in that way. But then we also did, rappelling the flags, which we've never done, which is really cool.
Very cool.
Some different,
Yeah.
just effects in like, let's change things up. Let's make the openings different. And not everything plays out perfectly from what I planned. But I do think there were some really, really special moments this year that I'm really proud of, and I know the organization is really proud of, and I know it made a big impact on the fans. And I was told by the refs themselves, you really outdone yourself this game. Like I don't know how you're going to top it. And the next week, like you did it again though. So I'm happy, and we're going into Vegas for the championship game with the owners meeting and all that. We're going in there with our heads held high, because we may have not gotten to the championship game, but this organization came to the IFL, and we put all hands on deck, and we made a big statement in this league.
And to add to that, we've been here since we took over, and the first couple of years, every game was took 4 years off my life. It's stress. It was just so stressful. But this year it felt like it was extremely stressful still, but it was smoother, and coming into a new league and paying attention to everyone else in the league, I feel like the show we put on is top of the line. We'll stand up against anybody out there
right
on the show side. And we do that, and we've gotten to the point where we can do that smoothly, and that's pretty cool. And a lot of that is because of April and the show she puts together, and it's been really cool to see that come together.
So you mentioned going to the owners' meetings, and you mentioned the officials just a second ago, and them telling you good news. Let's talk a little bit about officiating. I waited until we had Jordan because I know that he has some strong opinions, and my job is to see if I can tease those out and get Jordan in trouble. No, I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, but we would be remiss as a fan show to not point out that officiating did not seem like it was on our side this year. It seemed like we had a lot of trouble with the guys in black and white stripes. As you go into ownership meetings and you begin to plan for next year, how does that is that a point of conversation that you want to have with the league of what are we missing? Obviously you can't walk in and blame them and go, you guys are screwing us. But you have to walk in and hope to affect some sort of change. So is there a conversation about what can we do to be better equipped for these games? Like how do you plan for the future with officiating the way that it looked this year?
That really goes beyond us.
Yeah, we're not owners.
But that being
Good
said,
answer.
Don and James will be the ones in those meetings that,
Right.
can bring that up and all those things. But, we've also, I know Coach Manas himself, and I'm pretty sure James has as well, talked to, the head of officiating throughout the season. And there's been several instances where he agrees, like, you know what? Yeah, we need to be better. We as a league need to be better than this. This doesn't make any sense. Like, this was a bad call. We've got smart football players, and they're doing their job, and it's the league's officiating job to do their job, and they need to be better at that.
It felt like this year we were the new kid in school.
Yes.
It
No,
did.
we were.
It
Yeah.
absolutely did. And we were. We were
And
the
the
new guy on
teachers
the
are
block.
biased
And
to the other kids that have been there already. And no one likes for a new kid to show up and show up everyone else. And it's happened in this league before. And I think that they didn't want to let that happen again. And
Okay.
I'll say that. You can watch the games and see what it is. I mean, no one likes the person everyone can't stand the person that's crying that it's the refs because they lost. We hear it all the time. But when you see it happen over and over and over and over again, it is what it is. I mean, you can't deny it. So, I mean, and when the head of officiating is making videos where he's saying this is a huge problem,
Right.
we need to fix that, what else do we need to say? I mean,
Right.
when a team that we beat twice just won their first playoff game, there's a problem. There's something wrong there. So the problem is way out in the open. It's up to them to fix it.
I'll say I felt like there was a target on our back.
There was.
Mhm.
You felt it when the other team showed up. You felt it during the game. We were the new kids on the block, and that's
It's frustrating.
It certainly felt that way. And then that's to kind of add to Philip's question or his point of measuring, at least from a football standpoint, the success of this first season at 8-8. I'll reiterate what Don said at the end of the season in different words, in his own terms, but basically what he said was, we didn't get where we wanted to be, but everyone in this league knew who we were, and everyone in this league, they know that we're not a pushover, or we weren't going to be an easy win or an easy dub for anybody, whether it was at their place or at ours. Nobody wants to play the San Antonio Gunslingers, and you can measure success in effect in that statement alone.
Right, and 8-8 on a first season in a new league of the caliber of the IFL is not bad. But we talked some crap coming into this season, and we kind of got fed humble pie on that.
Yeah.
Which kind of
Expectation management. To be fair, the Jacksonville Sharks walked into this league with us and were in the Eastern Conference, and they didn't get 8-8. They didn't get anywhere near 8-8. If you flip our positions, if you had put us in the East and Jacksonville in the West, I'm not sure they win a game. Like they struggled all season long. I'm not sure they win a game in the West. We make the playoffs. Like we are a playoff team if we take their position and they take ours.
And on top of that, look how many games we lost by 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I brought that up.
So.
Well, and not only did people or other teams comment, like they would tell us, like, nobody wants to play you guys, like, no, that you're a wild card and you're a tough team and no one wants to play you. But not only that, but we'd have fans come in to San Antonio and come to our arena and say, this is hands down the best production we've ever seen.
True.
And that's amazing in itself. These teams that have been around for 15, 20 years, we've been here for 3. And they're saying, this is hands down the best show I've ever seen. Like, you guys are doing a great job. And we get comments like that all the time. And that says a lot, like I said, to this organization. So once again, we didn't come out football wise great, but I really, really, really am proud of this team.
So I know how I am.
And I will say this, Jordan, if you panned on our audience and panned on the different teams' audience, our audience always had merchandise. You look at, maybe they have the same color, but we definitely represented. And that's kudos to you, Jordan, because there's not one person who can look at it just say, oh, I love that or I like that, because there's something for everybody, from the superheroes, from the pink and the black for females. I mean, you name it. There was a fan there that bought a jersey, and you will not see that in any other game. That's what I can say.
Thank you.
Fan engagement, and keeping fans interested, not just stuff on the field, but outside the field through your hard work and with your designs on the merch, your ideas, your theme nights, all of that. I'm not surprised to hear April say that all the kudos that you guys receive from outsiders or from people outside of San Antonio. But like, just an example I love that makes me laugh when I think about it, made me laugh out loud when I saw it. The Northern Arizona away game, they have a cowbell theme as well, where they do cowbell, and they had their mascot up in the stands holding a sign that said, "We need more cowbell," and they pan to that like between plays, and he's holding up the sign, "We need more cowbell," and in the shot of all the fans in that that panoramic view, I saw one cowbell. I saw one fan with a cowbell, and it could be more appropriate, their mascot holding up that sign, and it just made me laugh out loud to think of that versus what we have in the Freeman Coliseum and the atmosphere we have there. And you guys must be so proud to see that in every game, and on a game by game basis, just that atmosphere that we have there. And kudos to you guys for putting all the hard work in creating.
Well, and you look across the screen right now, there's 5 of us on the screen, all of us wearing Gunslinger gear. Only one of those items is repeated, and Jordan and I are wearing the same hat. But all of the rest of us are wearing really excellent, really great looking Gunslinger stuff. And I stand, before we do a show, I stand in my closet and I have about a foot long part of my closet that is just Gunslinger stuff. And I'm like, what do I wear tonight? What
I got you beat, Philip.
You do. You absolutely do. I know when I do something, when I put together a big event, I always say, gee, I'm tired. Gee, I need some rest. But as soon as everything is over and the lights have gone down, I immediately start thinking of the things that I'd love to do better or fix or improve on, or just where I want to see things change and get better. And I know that you guys are probably the same way. You want to be resting, you should be resting, but I'm sure there have already been some things that you're like, you know what, next year we're going to lock this down, or we're going to improve on this. What are some of those things that have just kind of crossed your mind as, we did this well, but I want to do it even better? Where can we expect to see some of those kind of things?
Well, it's funny because we're actually, if you see this box that looks like we're in, we're actually on vacation right now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
James and Stephanie are in the cabin right next door, and we keep looking out the window because they're watching the kids, and then we got to switch here in a minute.
Right.
So, we all, we're all looking for like, okay, a couple more games, then we can take a second to breathe. And it's a lot. I mean, going from 6 games to 8 games alone it felt like a lot for me and myself. But then like, I think it was the day after the last game or something, me and Jordan were in the car, and I looked at him and I was like, so you ready to do it again? He's like, I'm ready. Let's go.
It was on the way to the game.
It was on the way. Okay. Either way. But, it's like one of those things where it's like, as soon as you like start to get the momentum, I mean, think about if you had a job that you had to like put together and perform 8 times of the year, and you spent all year to do 8 days. And then like, the 6th day, you're like, oh, okay, I could do this. And the 7th day, you're like, this is great. And the 8th day, you're like, okay. And then it's like, okay, now we got to start all over again next year.
Reset.
So, and for us, like I keep saying, like for us to be able to pull off, the elevation that we've done from season 1 to season now with just 8, 6, math, help.
I don't know.
Whatever those numbers are. What is it? Like?
Right.
Off seasons.
I don't know, 20 something games.
Yeah, all told, you've done less than 20 games, which doesn't feel like the
Yeah,
amount of
no.
energy or time that it should be. When you look at that number, you're like, that no, it feels like more than that. It feels like there's been more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. But then, we sit back and then like I said, we read those comment cards and we're like, okay, what are the fans lacking? What can we do better here? And there's some things that are out of our control, like concessions. Sorry, can't help you.
Right.
Parking.
Can't do
No
anything
control.
for you there. So there's some things that are out of our control, but people talk about more T-shirt cannons or giving all of the season ticket holders the freebie giveaway and things like that, like things that like we're thinking of 2 weeks out. That we're like, how can we fix this for next season so that everybody has a great experience on those things, and that's just from the comment cards. And we haven't. I think next week we sit down and we have like we usually do our Monday meetings where every Monday we get together. We talk about like,
Right.
what can we do better? Like, how are we going to improve for this next week and things like that. And so now that we've got a whole season to improve everything that we did, there's a lot of things that we've all got lists. We all put down together lists. We'll sit down and sometimes it'll be all of us in a meeting. Sometimes it'll be just the sales team or just the merch team, or sometimes it'll be just operations or front of house or whatever it is. There's a lot of things coming down the line that we want to improve. But right now, we haven't announced it yet, but I know we have signed 10 players.
Ooh,
Re-signed 10 players.
interesting.
Nice.
The plot thickens.
I think one of the biggest challenges is it's such a drain all season long that you're like, okay, now I'm ready for a break. But in reality, you need to keep going the whole time in off season to prepare for the next season if you want to save your butt when it comes to next season. So that, that's something that's been a struggle in the past is staying on top of it all off season long and preparing for the next season and really not taking many days off. So you make it easier on yourself in the future. So that's, something that you got to stay on.
It certainly seems like it's something that becomes kind of encompassing, like part of your lives. You take a break, you get some well-deserved rest, but it's always in here, and you're always processing and thinking because it's something that you care deeply about. I mean, it's very obvious. Look, you guys are on vacation, which we didn't know, so thank you very much.
Yeah,
by the
we
way, for
absolutely
joining us
would have waited
on this show. Yeah, we would have waited had we known you were on vacation. But here
no
you
idea
guys,
we were interrupting vacation.
yes,
Yeah,
so sorry on that. But here you are on vacation, and you have Gunslingers gear to put on to be on a podcast, and have that visual while you're on vacation. Like you have that with you. It's a part of you. You take it everywhere you go.
We got the truck outside.
Oh, nice.
My dad's got 2 flags flying right now.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
The Gunslinger flag. Well, and that's the thing too, this family, that this organization is run by, a very close-knit family. So even when we're on family vacation, we're still always talking about business.
Right.
It almost feels like a religion. Like, have you heard about our arena savior, the Gunslingers?
Yeah. Do you have a few moments that I can talk to you about San Antonio?
Can I talk to you about the
Gunslinger
San
football?
Antonio Gunslingers today?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure it feels like y'all work like 40, 80 hours a week. Is there any opportunity that you see this coming up season that you might be hiring new people to help you?
Yeah, I'm always looking for new people to help. The problem is though, is that, like I said, it's hard when you only have 8 games to you train somebody and you're like, this is what's going to happen on this day. And you have to be prepared for this. And the day of, they're like, what?
Yeah. You forget what it was like in the beginning. And then you throw someone into that. We're battle hardened now.
Right.
Hey, get it together. We got to do this. And to someone that's not been in it, it's it's trauma inducing. So
Yeah, I love
see
the
that.
because working on the broadcast, I get to see a little bit of this because we have from TSP, some people will kind of circulate in and out. And the first time somebody goes, "Who has a run a show?" and the new person goes, "What's a run a show?" Like, we don't even know what that is. And I'm like, "What do you mean you don't know what that is? That's everything. If you don't know what's coming up, how are you going to do anything with the broadcast or with the show going on here in the show?"
It's a lot easier to like, explain it, and then once you're thrown in there and you're like, okay, it's now, like, camera's on, let's go, and they're just like,
but on the other side, it's like I remember the first game we ever ran,
mm-hmm.
and it was a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And the feeling that I was shaking, I was like, oh my God, what are we doing? So now we're here. I'm like, everything's fine. Why are you freaking out? We're in good shape right now.
Well, the last season, I don't think anybody really understood outside of who's on my headset with me, but that was the production side worst game of the season. It was the last game of the season. It was the worst one.
It was some
It
hiccups.
was awful, and it was completely out of my control. I mean,
Right. And what's really funny about that is you notice all of those things. I've done plenty of stuff like this. It's like being in theater where I dropped a line. Nobody in the crowd knew you dropped a line. Nobody picked it up because you and your fellow folks on stage just gloss over and you don't notice, but I missed that line or I doubled back on myself and we did the same dialogue twice. Nobody else noticed that, but you did. And it makes a big deal. Yeah, it makes a big difference. I remember talking to you Sunday after the game when we had the wrap-up party, and you were pretty frustrated with a couple of things that didn't go right. And I'm like, it was great. It was the best night of the
every day, like all throughout that last game, everyone's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, you don't see what's happening right now? Like, you don't."
The whole time I'm like, they're not gonna know. They're not gonna know. It's
Who's
fine.
gonna know? And I'm like, how do you not know? Like, this is awful. And everyone's just like having the best time. The best time ever. And after the game, they're like, this was amazing. I'm like, I'm so glad you had a good time.
It really was amazing. It was a high energy, absolutely excellent night. I'm sorry that it was a rough night for you, but I think the fans in the crowd had a great time.
They did.
Even with the loss. It's really tough to come through a game where on the field we didn't look great. Like, we didn't look good. I won't even say great. We didn't look good. And everybody still had a great time. Like, that's how I knew that you guys put together a great atmosphere, because even in spite of the loss and the fact that we had one or two very exciting kind of gunslinger moments where we usually have 4 or 5, 6 of them.
Right.
We just didn't have them, and everybody was still engaged and having a great time and loud, and it was wonderful. I mean, it was really a wonderful game.
And I know our jersey auction went really well, thanks to Jordan. I know Leo got one.
Leo did get one. Sam Doug won. He got Sam Castronovis.
She was wearing it at the wrap party. She
I didn't know if that was.
Yeah, she was sporting it.
Right.
Yes.
I got outfitted twice.
Yeah. I mean, we even had our staff, I like several of our staff members, I'd be like, are you guys looking at how great this jersey auction going? They're like, yeah, I keep getting outbid.
Somebody mentioned earlier that every player, here it is, James Palmer. He said, I also think it's awesome. Every player had a bid in the auction. Every one of those jerseys, were bid on. There was nobody that was left out. That says something. That says something about, and hey, maybe that means we get more specialized uniform games next year.
Well, the problem, we would love to, but they just dropped that new rule about Adidas.
The Adidas rule, right?
And you can't really customize them the way that we want to customize them through Adidas.
That's a bummer.
We'll figure something out.
I'm sure we'll figure it out, but
yeah.
But we also still have like 4 jerseys per.
Yeah, we're gonna do some more auctions coming up of the actual red and white or blue and white game jerseys, and we have 2 sets of those because the original set didn't come in time due to a dealer error, so we had to make 2 replacement sets last minute. So we got plenty to put out
4
there.
jerseys from everybody that started the season. So
Right.
There's my wife.
Dolores wants to
She's
know who got
concerned.
Kali's jersey.
I don't remember.
Who do
his-
they need to go find to have a discussion?
I don't know what his name is, but he bought Collies and Ducks.
Yeah.
Right out the gate.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
He was a sweet owner.
I know. Weston has that information, and he texted Weston as soon as he bought it, and he said, "I didn't want to chance it. I just bought them both outright. Like I live at 10 a.m. and he bought them at like 10:08.
Oh, wow.
I'm just not chancing it. I'm getting them both. So
Well,
Yeah.
let
well,
us go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say I already have a Kali game worn jersey, so I kind of targeted Sam so I could have one of each of those. But Lolis wasn't very happy with me about that. So on the next auction, Mr. Winner over there is gonna have some competition, I think.
well, Elise told me at the last coaches show, she was like, "I'm gonna bid on Kali's." So I was like, "Okay." When I saw it was gone, I was like, "Surely it was Leo." And Elise and then Weston told me no. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay."
It was a
Well,
strategic decision.
Let us be the voice of the fans, which is what we try to be anyway, for a minute, and just express our love and thanks for you guys. This is the third season. You've already alluded to it a couple of times, and it just keeps getting better year over year. I know that first year was crazy. Jordan talked about it earlier, where it just kind of felt like you got thrown into the middle of chaos, and in a way you did, and figured that out, and that was impressive. But to come back the following year, even better, and then this year as we move into a new league, with all of the new around it, new players, new coaches, a new field, new dasher boards, all of the new, which affects everything that you two do. Jordan, I know that a new field and new dasher boards was kind of a headache for you as we moved through the season, and certainly right there at the beginning of the season. And still, you guys just knock it out of the park, and things just keep getting better. And we don't expect that to stop. You guys are just continuing to make it better and better, and people notice. Like, people notice the work that you do, and know how hard you guys work to make this special. It seems like such a little thing. It's 8 times in a year. How can that be so difficult? But it is. It's a lot when you're doing everything, and you guys are doing everything. And I don't know what Don will say, and James, but I think you guys both deserve game day assistance. Like, you need a person that just stands next to you and gets you anything and everything you ask for. You need a drink, they go get it. You need that person's attention over there, and you can't walk all the way over there and get it. They go get that person for you. You just need that person that stands beside you and does all of that little gopher work for you. That's my.
I thought I was doing that this whole time.
You are. This is my go-to.
Well, not each other. Not each other.
I need
No, you each need one.
He's got
You
one.
each need one separate.
It could be an intern. Like, we don't have to pay this person. It could be an intern. It doesn't have to be.
I'm limping at the end of every game. I've gone up to the front and back 15 times.
Yeah. I know you guys are worn out. I try to not bother you guys until the game is over. Now, I'll usually come find Jordan after the game's over, and talk to him a little bit about the game. But before the game, I get there an hour and a half early. But I see you guys running around, and I'm like, they're not in a mood to talk.
They're in the zone. Yeah.
I'm not going to talk. But I think you do. I think you both need just an assistant, just a gopher that stands next to you and goes and gets whatever you need. That's what their badge needs to say. It doesn't need to have their name on it. It needs to say April's assistant. So they know that it's serious. When this person comes and asks me a question, it's like, what is that? How I Met Your Mother, where it's for the bride.
The bride,
for
yes.
April.
Yes.
April has a question, so you need to answer.
We do have a great staff, though, and even like our
Of course,
sales team,
yeah.
our sales team and our marketing team and all of them, they're always like, "What do you need? Can I help you? What is it?" And I've always got something on the top of my head. I'm like, if you could just do this for me, that would be amazing. And they're always willing to help. And all of this happens. It's not just 2, 4, 6, 8 people. It's a lot of people that make this happen, and we are so passionate about it, and we love it, and we care for it. And Don Rackler himself will say, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it.
Right.
And so we make sure that every time that kickoff happens, we're like, okay, we're going to figure it out one way or another, and no one's going to know any different other than they. But as long as everybody has a good time, then we're good.
Well, we already have a volunteer for you. Lolise is willing to be that gopher. She says she's serious. She's down. She'll get you. She'll refresh your makeup. Jordan, that will be helpful. Get you some beverages, cheer you on, all of those kind of things. Really, we want to express our appreciation on behalf of the fans. Like we try to be a voice of the fans, and we recognize how much goes into putting these 8 games on, and hopefully next year it'll be like, I don't know, 10 games. We would love to see that. I don't know if you'd love to see that, but we'd love to see that next year. Host a couple of playoff games. And
fans, but as the podcast, we want to thank you. I mean, we appreciate you advertising for us. We're always in the bulletin. You always take care of us. You always come and say hi. And as a podcast, we really want to thank you for everything that you've done. You didn't have to. And it really means a lot to you. Like, it's beyond just fans. We're family. And just know that we are the ones that you can reach out to and say, hey, I do need this. Can you help me with this? And just like family, we'll be there.
Well, we appreciate you guys, and we love y'all.
We love you too.
Thank you for everything.
Jordan and April, and they are so committed that they are on vacation with their family and their kids, and they just took about an hour's worth of time and said, hey, let's talk about the Gunslingers.
Hey, you guys got us
Smoking
an hour
Guns
kid
podcast.
free. We're cool.
Okay.
Here we go, right here. April Jordan.
Minutes. We're here.
The mission highlighter says, how about April Jordan 24? Let's do 28. 24 is already set. But you guys can run in 28. How about it?
I was told I'm
really looking forward to being the first gentleman.
There you go.
There you go.
Jordan and April, thank you so much for all you do. Now go and enjoy your kids and enjoy your family and enjoy your vacation.
Love y'all.
Really
Thanks.
appreciate you guys. Love you guys.
Love you guys. Thank you.
They are awesome. Like, I will never be as cool as April and Jordan are. Just won't be. I gave up on that kind of stuff a long time ago. I do some stuff with my job where I have to put together something big. We do youth camp every year, and I'm the director for that. I know what a big deal it is to do one thing. I can't imagine doing that one thing 8 times or 10 times. Like, I just, that's crazy. And they put a lot of work into it, and deserve all of the accolades that they get at the owners meeting here in a couple of weeks, which I expect to be many.
Yes.
So
Crossing the fingers for the cheerleaders.
Honestly, if they don't get the recognition that they deserve on that side, that's more of a travesty or more of a letdown, would be more of a surprise than Sam Castronova and the MVP race. Like, this is more of a, if you ask me, like a sure thing, like has to be than anything else in this league.
Well, we asked them some questions, specifically a question about ownership meetings, and they said, that's above our pay grade. We're not going to be in those meetings. So we said, you know what? Let's go grab somebody that will be in those meetings and wrap up the season with James Stubing as we talk about the Gunslingers through this year and maybe into next year. James, I hear you're on vacation. Sorry, we're interrupting.
Yeah, man.
It's all right. I didn't want to miss this episode, so.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
So we've talked a lot about this season, the production side of this season, which we all agreed, and you guys are just going to have to figure out, because we took a vote here on the show. April and Jordan both need assistance. Game day assistance. Just stand beside them and do whatever they ask for. You need water, they go get it. You need that person's attention, they go find them. Just whatever. So we took a vote here on the show, and it was 3-0. It was unanimous vote by the show that we need to find those people for April and Jordan.
For sure.
You guys do a great job on the production side of things. Certainly, we could talk a little bit about football operations, but I realize that you're in off-season mode at this point. We hear, actually, just from April, that there are probably about 10 players right now that are looking to re-sign with the Gunslingers. We know we saw the information about coaches. Going to be a little bit of a shakeup, but not huge, not seismic sort of changes, but a little bit of a change in the coaching. But while we're steadily getting ready for this season, we still have some cleanup from last season. And the first thing that we asked, not the first thing, but one of the things we asked them about, and the first thing I want to ask you about is, we all recognize that the officiating was not where we want it to be, not where we would like to see it be as far as fair and balanced. As you move into 2 weeks from now in Vegas ownership meetings, how do you walk this line of, I don't want to blame officials for us finishing 8-8, but I also want to make it clear that this needs to be addressed or changed or looked at. How do you do that? Like, how are you going to approach that as you move into ownership meetings here in a couple weeks?
Well, of course, it'll be brought up. I think the fans, I heard so many fans share how frustrated they were with things we were called for, but the other team clearly did. And I didn't,
right.
The refs are like, I didn't see it. I think that the league wants to elevate every year, just like we do. And that's one of the reasons why we're with them. So it doesn't look good when these kinds of things are, really blatantly obvious. And I think there's going to be heat to address it. Where they can find, a much higher quality ref pool, that's really Todd's problem. But we definitely are going to be pushing for it.
Yeah, so many people, I think, need to understand that unfortunately, just the reality of the indoor game is money is tight across the league.
True.
And when you're looking to fill the pool for officials, you have to go with what is available. And so you see the same white hat 7 of 8 games or 6 of 8 games in San Antonio. And if it's a guy that bugs you or you feel is not fair, that doesn't really matter. That's what they have. That's what they have nearby. That's what they can. That's who's in the pool, and it's unfortunate, but it's just a reality of kind of where the league is, and there's not going to be a lot that's going to change because it's not like these owners are the NFL owners that can say, "Hey, let's just dump a bunch of money into that." It just isn't there. It doesn't exist.
Right.
Right. Things are tight.
Yeah, if we wanted to spend $3,000 a game, we could get, we could have more control over who's reffing our games. But hold on one second.
Oh, if you're spending $3,000 a game, I may turn in my headset and I may dump a white and black jersey. I know the rules. I can do that.
That's travel, hotel. Yeah. So
careful what you wish for, Philip.
I would never want to be an official. I'd never want to be an official, and I'd never want to be a coach. I wish I was athletic enough to be a player. I love being on the broadcast. I would never be an official, and I would never be a coach. They're 2 jobs I don't want. I don't have any desire to have.
I totally understand that.
So going into let's take this on a couple of different. Well, wait. I have to ask you the same question we've asked everybody else that's been on the show. We've had Chase Ridgman, we've had April, we've had Jordan, and we asked the same question to everybody. 8-8, first season in the IFL. All of the other things around that. Is this a successful season in your mind?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
We put on the best productions we've ever done. We were very competitive. Teams were afraid of us. We a couple of 5-6 plays could have totally, throughout all those 8 games or 16 games could have totally changed where we ended up in terms of the playoffs and a chance at that. I think we did a fantastic job, and now we're looking at things to do for next year that make it even better. But I was so proud of the production we put on every show, and I think this was a total success.
Okay.
We agree with you. Or at least I agree with you.
Yep.
I
100% agree. Yeah.
On the sort of large, we'll go large to small here, on the large level of the league, because you are going to be in ownership meetings and you're going to be a part of, in some way, guiding this league forward, because that's what owners do. Owners are the board, and they're the ones that guide this thing forward. What are some things that you might spend a little bit of political capital to push? It may not change because you can only do so much, but what are some things on your sort of checklist of, gee, I'd sure like somebody to get rid of that veteran rule, or like, anything like that?
Yeah. So I've already, coming into the league, we're the new kids on the block. We can't come in and to make demands and push and push and push. We have to earn that. And I feel like we've earned our place at the table. But one of my big projects is media and how the league handles media going forward. YouTube burned us 2 or 3 games ago. That game is still not on YouTube because they put 17 copyright violations based on music that came through the loudspeaker, and it was a nightmare. So we're looking at. I know Todd and I talk a lot about media and broadcast type things because I think it matters. A lot of the owners, that's not a concern for them. YouTube's fine, but for me, and I hopefully, there's several others that really feel that a lot of attention needs to be put there because it can make or break a league. It can, if you do it wrong, you go in and pay, millions of dollars and don't get any benefit from it. Then, that I think the AFL got pulled down pretty bad in the past with chasing those kinds of deals. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure out how do we continue to improve our podcast. Now I saw plenty. We had our own couple of glitches at the beginning of the season. The game
that broadcast analyst guy, woof, it was terrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
gotta fix that.
But yesterday's game was obviously wrought with issues, and the league was embarrassed by it. So we got to really figure out, as all 16 teams do their part. I think we're one voice out of 16. Right. I've made friends or alliances with other owners that I get along well with, and we're still trying to find our way. But when we go to Vegas in 2 weeks, the vet rule is going to be a big one, and then officiating is going to be a big one. And beyond that, it's putting pressure on the league to be working on partnership deals that affect all the teams in a positive way. Those kinds of things.
I know you guys are just as in tune to this as I am, but as I was watching this weekend, and several of us know that this weekend the broadcast side of things did not work as well as the IFL wanted it to. There were 4 games that were broadcast, and I think every one of them had significant broadcast problems, and that caused some conversation around the interwebs, which sometimes is good and sometimes is bad. But I did see several comments to the tune of, I would be willing to pay if they would put the IFL games behind a paywall to have access to the IFL if it were better, if the product was better. I would be willing to pay for it. I know you and I have had this conversation way back in the NAL days, and that was not something that was the NAL could have ever figured out, could have ever, gotten their mind wrapped around, and just a lot of owners doing a lot of different things in the NAL. Not a bad thing, not a good thing, just different.
Just setup. Different.
Yeah. What about now? Is there a possibility that you guys could work out some sort of broadcast deal that may lock things behind a paywall, but nothing terrible, $4 or $5 a month, and we're able to watch all the IFL games, and you have better control?
It's possible. I know Todd's told me that there's several things in the works. I think the stadium deal is part of that, and we'll see where that goes. Hopefully, the next week's games are problem free.
Right.
But each team really has, takes on the responsibility of hiring the broadcast crew, and I imagine it's going to be brought up. How do we normalize and bring in a way to have a standard production experience across all the teams so that these kinds of things don't happen?
Gotcha.
I'm very proud of our production.
Yeah.
I think Phil, I think you and Ralph do a tremendous job with calling the games and keeping the game moving and all the mechanics that go into that, and very proud of that. I think our production quality is very high with TSP, and I think we're a leader in the quality standard for broadcast.
Most
There's a
definitely.
lot of guys on that broadcast that work really, really hard to make it good. I just show up and talk football, which is what I do for this show too. I don't feel like I'm one that works really, really hard at it, but there are guys that work very, very hard to make all of that go and work the way it does. And they take those moments where there are glitches, they take those hard. That's a big deal to them because they want to be perfect, and it's hard to put anything perfect out there. So
For sure.
James, earlier April and Jordan, half jokingly, they described how Gunslingers, the Gunslingers organization and this project has become a part of your lives. It's not just your job, it's not just what you do, but even like now that you're on vacation, you're with the truck and flags flying, and you've got your gear that you can wear so you could be on a podcast. It's more and more a part of your lives, and they described it as a religion. It's almost like religion, which I thought was kind of funny, but kind of very accurate. With religion though, most people that are religious, they have their faith in that sense with a promise of something at the end. Their promised land, so to speak. What is the promised land for you personally with the San Antonio Gunslingers organization? What will be that moment when you said we've made it? This is what we wanted from the get go.
I would say it's to have recognition across the city that professional indoor football exists, and it's awesome. And we have a large enough fan base that pretty much every game is 75-80% sold out. That would be the point that I would feel like we arrived. We do this not because of it's a journey, not a destination. For us, it's delivering an awesome experience to thousands of people every week, and there's nothing like it. I didn't ask to be in this business, but being asked to be in it, I found that it's a tremendous blessing to be able to deliver quality, wholesome entertainment to the people in our city, and it's just very rewarding. So.
Well, James, I can't tell you how amazed I am to see how far this has come, and you and your family, from Don, all the way down through yourself and Stephanie and April and Jordan, and that's not even all of it. There are so many more people that make this go when you start talking about. I can't even name them all. Like you couldn't either. I could turn this over to you, and you could name people for the next 10 minutes, and we'd miss somebody.
For sure.
I'm really impressed. We've seen where this came from. We're one of the kind of few people that can say, when this thing started, we were there and we never would have imagined it here. And this isn't even the end. Like, this isn't even the end point. This isn't the promised land, to use Leo's. But even this point would have been a pipe dream 4 years ago when all this was kicking off of completing our first season in the IFL, going 8-8. You know, one of the best head coaches in indoor football, the presumptive MVP, if he doesn't get it. I still think there's something wrong, although we already had that discussion. All of the things that we could talk about that came out of this season. I really am impressed with everything that this has become, and the fact that there is no we dealt with this thing way back when there was a question of, will it even be a thing very much longer? Will the Gunslingers survive? That's no longer a question in my mind. I don't worry about the survival of the franchise or the product. And that in and of itself in indoor football is kind of amazing. To get a team, there's lots of teams that crop up in indoor football and go away. And so to have a team where that's not even a concern anymore is a big thing, and something you guys should be proud of.
Yeah.
It does not go.
I'm very.
It does not go without noticing that you guys have poured resources, money. Money is part of it, but you poured time and energy, the blood, sweat, and tears. This is not something where you guys as an ownership group have just said, we want this and we want to put our name on it, but somebody else needs to do all of the work. You guys are the ones doing the work and making it happen. Lalise, there you go. You're not just a great owner. You guys are amazing human beings. We love you. And you're always nice to everyone. You are. You guys are. So we really go ahead, Darcy.
I wanted to say, James, you know, one thing that maybe a lot of people don't notice, but your kids and your grandkids are always respectful during the game. They're not whining. They're not crying. They actually become part of even the 6-shooter. She's got her little uniform on. And that's a tribute to all of you and your parenting skills, because normally you could get a 6, 7, 8, 9, 15-year-old whining and crying if they have to spend all day there. And not once have I ever seen any one of your family members look upset or crying, always respectful. And I think beyond just the business of football and beyond the family, you give back to the community. And that is so important. People see that and they will come to the game and they will continue to support you because you have successfully made that connection with the fans. And even you have super fans coming. You have people going out of their way to invite other people. You need one game. I tell people all the time, you need one game and you will be hooked. And I can't tell. I haven't met one person who said they haven't enjoyed themselves. So thank you for everything that you do.
You're welcome. And thank you for your efforts to help bring new fans in. It's pretty remarkable. The different people that you were able to bring in from the Brahma side and different things that you have influence over, and we've appreciated seeing them come back and fall in love with our team. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I just kind of wanted to what you just said, James. A measurement of the success of this thing, not just this season, but where we're at from the beginning. You know, at the beginning, this thing was kind of like, I think for a lot of people, an excuse to, not an excuse, but it was an opportunity to get out and watch some guys, you know, play football, watch some good hits and drink some beer and have a good time. It's way beyond that now, in a sense where this is something real and something like you got more crazies like me that can't wait for the next season. You got, before prior seasons, you could probably count the amount of fans, not necessarily on your hands, but you knew who they were. that would look at this and be just as excited as the next indoor football season as they would for like the Spurs or the NFL, where it's something real, it's a fandom, it's something you love and something you'll be passionate about, for as long as as long as it's there. And I think there's more and more people like that, more true fans, people that appreciate the San Antonio Gunslingers and have grown to love this team and this organization and can't wait to see what's next. And it's something that's real and a part of their lives now. And you guys have built that and taken that to the next level and continue to build on that. And I think that's something that you guys should be very, very proud of and something that we need to all be thankful to you all for.
Well,
For
I
sure.
appreciate you saying that. It's very rewarding to be involved in an organization that has provided that kind of a resource to the city of enjoyment. And we're in the entertainment business, and we're fan focused, and we're going to continue to look for bigger and better ways to thrill the crowd and give them a great quality entertainment experience.
So I'll ask you some things just to wrap up. We want you to go and enjoy your vacation, enjoy your kids and your grandkids, and some rest. But just some things that I'll throw at you. You may not have answers. You may not know. When can we expect, like ballpark, next year's schedule? When can we start hoping to see that? What's that normally scheduled out at? Do you know?
Well, we came into the IFL probably after that normal point. And then, anyway, this year, Todd is wanting all dates from all teams by September 1st. And I think he wants to have a schedule set by the end of September. So
Well, that'd be great.
Just around the
And
corner.
Are we still looking at 16 teams, or will there be some expansion?
We've got the Fisher Freight coming, which would put us at 17. I'm hoping that some of the teams from other leagues might switch over as well. It's getting kind of down to the wire on that. So, So right now it's looking like 17, and that makes the East one team stronger. So there's no chance we'll be in the East. So
we don't get to switch over. We don't get to. Somebody earlier said things are going to get really crazy if Frisco has to move over to the West. I don't imagine that's going to happen. I think they signed some sort of pact with somebody to make sure that they never wind up in the West, didn't they? It seems like they've always been in the East.
Probably. No, they got it much easier over there in the East. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, when you look at Jacksonville, and Jacksonville went through their schedule, and I would have loved to have had their schedule. Like, we came in the same time as them. If we have Jacksonville's schedule, we're still playing right now.
Absolutely.
We're still playing football.
Yeah.
So, kind of crazy to think how successful we were. I know I kind of gave everybody a hard time earlier and was like, wasn't a successful season because I was told we were going to make the playoffs and we were going to, contend for a championship and all of these things. And maybe we need to set our expectations better. But honestly, it was a success almost any way you look at it, because we walked in with the champions of the NAL, and they are not anywhere near. We are a couple of seasons ahead of them right now.
Absolutely.
So
right.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Well, James, thank you so much for all that you do for us as a show, for us individually, and for every football fan in San Antonio, whether they know it or not. And we want to make sure they start knowing it as we move into next season. The Gunslingers are here. It's exciting. It's a blast. And anybody that's missing out is truly missing out on something great. And we want to try to get that message out there as much as we can.
I appreciate you guys being on the ride with us, and I love that you guys do this show. And you guys give us great feedback about things that work and things that don't. And I personally always appreciate that perspective that you guys provide.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. We appreciate
Enjoy.
you. We appreciate
James.
all of you guys at the Gunslingers, and can't wait for next year. I'm ready. Let's start now.
Yeah.
Let's just another 8 games right now. Another 8 home games in a row right now. Let's do it.
They need a break.
This year's champion doesn't matter. Let's just skip the rest of this season and start right into the next one. Yeah.
We appreciate you, James. We appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
He's James Stubing. He's the owner, one of the owners of the San Antonio Gunslingers. And I was giving everybody a hard time earlier. There is a part of me that feels like, hey, we said it and we have to be true to our word. We said earlier this season that playoffs are nothing. It wouldn't be a successful season without the playoffs. But we didn't, and I still think it was a successful season because so much more than the playoffs counts. There's so much more to this that counts than just the record. And even when you look at the record, like we could be Jacksonville right now. We could be, having an absolute fit in our final game because we barely won. And pushed our record to whatever it was, 4-12 or whatever they finished at. We could be that team. We're not. We were 8-8, and we're going to get better. Like things are going to get better.
I agree 100%. No doubt it was a successful first season overall in the big picture, but I still maintain that success will feel that much more if we're able to carry over at least the core players and run it back next season and kind of come back with the same core and do it all over again.
Right.
This time.
I can't tell you how hard it was for me to not ask, like, who are the 10?
Yeah.
Like, who? Like, they haven't announced it yet, and they don't want me to know yet. So, but I really wanted to be like, who's coming back? Is Sam coming back? Is Kylie coming back? Like, who's coming back?
Yeah.
This veteran rule stinks. I'm going to say it out loud, and I'm going to keep saying it all the way through the offseason. There is no reason for a professional sports league that is the top of their particular discipline of sport to limit the number of veterans that play throughout the league. That's crazy. That doesn't make any sense. Can you imagine the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball putting a veteran limit on teams?
Ridiculous.
And you had to go into the season with most of your team as not veterans, as 3 years or less experience in professional sports. Nobody would do that. Nobody would watch that. It makes your product worse, and that's not what you want to do. So if James Stubing is heading into the ownership meeting and he's like, I need to make the argument that the veteran rule is stupid, maybe he could just play this part of the show and say, hey, here's a couple of our fans, and here's what they think of it. It's stupid. It doesn't work this way. It doesn't. Professional sports, if you are the pinnacle of your discipline and the IFL wants to be the pinnacle of indoor football, you can't have a rule like this. You just can't. You cannot be the best with the best talent if you have this kind of rule in place. And I know that the big question on everybody that loves the veteran rule, which is not a lot of people, is the parity that it creates. There are other ways to create parity. There is still parity that will exist in the league. There are ways that you can do that without limiting the good players in your thing, in your league.
I understand the idea behind it and trying to create the parity and keep it competitive, especially with, different tiers of ownership groups and stuff. And I understand the idea behind it. But when you're trying to tout yourself as the top level, at the top level of a certain category of sport, you should not have, that should not even be something that you have. If you're the top level, then that shouldn't be it. If anything, it diminishes your product and your tout as being the top level league. That
Def-
said, James Palmer just mentioned a second ago that he thought maybe some of these transactions are on the webpage, and they are. I have them up in front of me, and I'm going to read them right now. I'm going to
Let's
read
do
them
it.
right now because I am very excited about these names that I am seeing. Okay, going from bottom to top of what's listed for the re-signs, San Antonio Gunslingers, wide receiver Austin Upshaw. Very good.
Love it.
Very nice. Next, wide receiver Kali Rashad.
Yeah.
Yes, baby. Kali
We got
Rashad
5 on it.
re-signed. We got 5 on it. Of course, I'm gonna be happy about that one. Offensive line, Harvey. I said
Miquel Harvey.
Miquel Harvey.
That's
Yep.
big. That's a big
Yes,
signing.
That is huge. Both figuratively and literally.
And
Yeah.
literally, yes.
Yes. Running back Keyshawn Harper, who's
Keyshawn Harper had
Big.
the best second half of the season
He
as
did.
any running back in the entire league. He deserves. I'm very happy that he's going to be a part. He got better as the season went along. I love that
Yep.
Tin will be back.
there you go. Yeah, and 2 more. Defensive back Clifton Duck, another
Yeah.
Awesome.
huge
Made a
re-signing.
huge difference when we brought him in. Imagine having him at the beginning of the year.
And then last, quarterback Iman Caldwell.
Yeah, I knew you were going to mess with me when you said quarterback. Hey,
Yes.
Iman Caldwell, that is not a look, to back up a guy like Sam Castronova is one of those things that is only certain people can do well because you're never supposed to touch the field. And Iman was always, from what I understand, doing everything he could, including dude was on the kick coverage team.
Yeah.
Doing everything he could to beat things. Now, I realize you bring up quarterback Iman. Give me his last name. Caldwell. There we
Caldwell.
go. Iman Caldwell coming back. And I know immediately people were like, what about Sam? Is Sam coming back? Look, folks, Sam is going to be in high demand.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever awards he wins, he's going to be in high demand. And he is a long way from his family in San Antonio. He's got young kids. He's got a wife that he likes to spend time around. And this is a long way from home. Now, I'm not saying that means he's not coming back. I'm just saying
There's
he
other
may wanna
factors.
he may want to look and see what's out there, what's available to him. And if he could be closer to home and spend some more time with his family, would he want to do that? And so I don't know, but don't be surprised that he hasn't immediately signed back up with the San Antonio Gunslingers because he's going to be in high demand. And he may have an offer that comes across the table that gives him an opportunity to spend more time with his family. And while I would hate to lose Sam, I know that there is nothing like the years when your kids are young. And so giving up 4 to 6 months of that to come down here to San Antonio and play football is not worth it in some ways. Like, I want him here. I wish he were here, but I can't imagine giving up 6 months of Courtney and Abigail and Elizabeth's, childhood. That's not cool as a father. That's not a good feeling. And he's really struggled with that this season, and he did a great job this season. But he may want to look and see what else is out there, and I don't blame him.
We all agree
I hope he
family
comes
first.
Yeah, I hope he comes back, but I won't blame him at all if he signs in, Albany or somewhere up there close to where he lives, where he can go back and forth easier. That makes sense to me.
That's tough. We'll hope he comes back though. I mean, I'm sure he's going to weigh his options.
Fingers crossed. Seriously.
He definitely loves this team, loves this organization, his teammates, coaches, all of that, ownership, of course. So we've got all that going for us. So we're just going to wait and see on that one. We have to take what we can get as it comes. So it's encouraging to see these re-signings happening so quickly, though. And there's some key names on that. I mean,
Keyshawn
really,
Harper,
all of
Kali
them.
Rashad,
Yeah.
Austin Upshaw, kind of the unsung hero of the receiver core in a lot of
Duck.
ways. Austin Upshaw was consistent throughout the season. He was there. And Naquan
Duck.
Murray gets a lot of press, and DJ Miles gets a lot of press, and Kali Rashad is what he is. Austin Upshaw, that's a big deal. And then Clifton Duck, like I wish we'd have had him all season.
Yeah.
He made a huge impact once we got him here. So
Our numbers might be different.
maybe Ricky
sure.
Wyatt. Lalise asked, "Is Ricky Wyatt coming back?" Might be another
We
one
hope
we
so.
would love to have.
I think we'll get
Ricky-
some answers after the owners meeting. Some other things will clear up as when they figure out what they're going to do with this veteran rule. So we'll see.
Well, as we wrap up the season, we got about 10 minutes left in the show. We need to talk about our bull spit and bullseye, but not just for the week, because there wasn't anything that happened in San Antonio pro football this week. We need to talk about our bull spit and bullseye for the year. That may be on the Brahma side of the ball. That may be on the gunslinger side of the ball. What is your bull spit and your bullseye? I'm going to give you two a minute to think, because I got a message. Leo and I got a message from Alex McSwain. He was not able to join us live tonight, but he said his bullseye was the Gunslingers offense. Castronova keeps impressing. I heard a lot of Castronova doubt, saying he wouldn't be able to keep it up in the IFL, but he balled out. And this is the best quarterback in the IFL. I want to make sure people understand. Making the jump from the NAL style of play to the IFL style of play makes a huge difference. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the 2022 season from a man named Jonathan Bain, and then go watch his 2023 season when he came into the IFL. Jonathan Bain is a good quarterback. I know he got injured end of 2023, terrible injury. As far as I know, I don't remember him playing anywhere, but that's not really the point here or there. He had a rough time in the IFL. He did not make that transition well when he came to Iowa. It is not just a given that Sam Castronova was going to come in and be as good as Sam Castronova was in the NAL. It's a different style of play, and he did an amazing job. Bullseye, another bullseye from Alex McSwain. Coaches continued to change and adapt this team. When things weren't working, the coaches changed player personnel to bring in the right guys and help the team win and remain competitive week to week. I hated losing Zach Brown. I like Zach Brown a lot. I hated to see him go. But Ricky Wyatt was a better fit. Just was. He just was. And as much as I love Zach Brown, and I hope that he is a gunslinger again one day and it all makes sense.
That would be great.
It did not make sense this year. And the fact that we were not in the past, we used to have this discussion a few years ago about falling in love with players to the point that we would keep them on our roster because they were our guys and not making the switch when we realized we needed to make the switch. That didn't happen this season. Coach Bonas and his crew was willing to make changes if they needed to be made. Bull spit. Leo, I'm not going to read all of this, but I'm going to read enough of it. And then I want to ask you what you think, and then I'll tell you what I think. The bull spit for Alex McSwain for the San Antonio Gunslingers this season was special teams. Let me start by saying I'm fairly certain Coach Bonas has more years of coaching experience than I have years alive as a person. He assembled a great coaching staff. They know what they're doing, but this special teams unit as a whole struggled this year. TC is a deuce-kicking machine, and this may be an unpopular option, but at times I'd rather try to pin the opposing team deep on their side of the field as opposed to missing the deuce and giving them great field position. He goes on to give me some stats and some of those kind of things, how many blocks we had, blocked PATs, blocked field goal, Kali Rashad not being able to be as dynamic, and he chalks that up to not Kali Rashad, but the blocking in front of him not being what it could be.
Mhm.
And it just didn't seem like the special teams unit ever got it together. It was the weakest part of the team. By the time we got the defense fixed, I recognized that the special teams was rough too. And that never seemed to get better. Leo, is he wrong?
No, I can't say that he is. Very good points. Particularly with some of the penalties on special teams, the mishaps with the mishandled snaps that were a constant problem throughout the season. I mean, and then the returns for Kali Rashad, it was an issue, and it's something that hopefully can be improved on for next season, because there's the three different aspects of a football team, and you need to have them all performing well in order to become a champion. So I would think that that's something that they'll go back and look at the tape, and it's issues that they know are there, and hopefully will address.
Sure. Missions highlighter, his bullseye for the season, just having professional football in San Antonio. Amen. He says it's a boring answer. I don't think that's a boring answer at all, bud. I think that's a great answer.
Yep.
We're big fans of professional football in San Antonio. That's kind of what the whole show is. So we love it. Bull spit, Brahma's not winning the UFL title. Thanks, Chase Garbers. And the Gunslingers not making it to the postseason, but I still had fun this spring. Jay Washington, Bullspit, him not being at the last game, the continuous defensive chant, the Thursday game, our defensive woes in the beginning, his bullseye, the atmosphere, the production of the games, the bus trips, because he used to have to climb on a bus to get to and from games. He also has a bullseye of being a season ticket holder last season, Sam being the MVP, special teams player of the year, TC Stevens, the merch, and having consistency with the team schedule, with the league schedule. Absolutely. Mo Ferrante, Bullspit, veterans rule. Amen. The veterans rule sucks. Get rid of it.
Yep.
Bullseye, the energy I felt at the Gunslingers and Brahma's games. One of those folks, one of those people like the rest of us, like some of us, that did them both.
That's right.
Absolutely cool. Leo, what about you, man?
So my bull's eye is how do I put this? Being able to experience professional football both in the game and outside of the game with the fans, making new friends, living the experience of the game and that atmosphere that we've kind of developed as a fan base, and being a part of that. And then this is a key part of this, being able to relive that, at least on the Gunslinger side, through Robert Seco's incredible video.
You just stole mine.
I'm sorry. That's how great it is. No one can capture a feeling the way Robert Seco does when he puts these videos together, and kind of it's a rewind of the week and what happened in that game and in the Hemisphere Arena. It's just so much fun to first live it and then relive it a second time through Robert Seco's lens. It's an amazing thing that he never ceases to amaze us. That is definitely my bullseye for the season. As great as he was last year, and we touted him as top level talent. You put him up against anyone in NFL Productions this year. It's been even better, like next level stuff. Kudos to you. I'm so grateful to have Robert Seco as part of this thing. I can't say enough good things about him, but thank you, Robert Seco, because my bullseye is being able to live through that experience in San Antonio as a football fan, but then you give it to me again later in the week by being able to watch that in just that 2 or 3 minute thing. It's all there. Somehow you capture it all there, and it is freaking beautiful. So thank you very much, Robert.
And only Robert would do a whole video for RC Woods.
Yes.
And she
Yes.
deserves it.
Thank
It's
you.
me. It's
Thank you.
RC Woods every time.
Yes.
Did you have a bull spit? That was your bullseye. Did you have a bull spit?
Well, I mean, my top bull spit, you already said we can't use. We have to hold it back
It's Chase
on it.
Garber's, right?
It's Chase
We
Garber's.
understand that.
It's hard for it not to be. But besides that, I would say it's a little less, but it's still there. I really get irritated and annoyed by the divisiveness of the San Antonio fan base between the teams, between the Brahmas and the Gunslingers, and you
No
know
reason.
that's not. This is
No
better
reason.
than that, and you know if you're a fan of that, then you don't know what you're. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Some of the things that I've seen and heard and witnessed and criticisms that just
Although,
have no merit.
Leo, I will say it felt like this year there was more of a coming together. We had I think we had a big problem as we started this year. I felt like there were more of those things starting to kind of knit together into a football family that can appreciate both the indoor and outdoor game, which is where we should all be. Like we're unapologetically those people that will say there is absolutely no reason to choose between these two things. You should do both. We do both. We love both, and there's no reason you should have to do this one and not that one.
And
that's crazy.
And if that's what you choose to do for yourself, that's fine. But
cool.
Don't tell others what they should do or why not they should choose to do with their fandom.
Jay Washington says, I know another one of Leo's bull spits, illegal blitz on a run play.
I made my feelings known on that. Yeah, on that note, I have to apologize real quick because I was yelling when we talked about it, which is why Jamar knows how strongly I feel about that. And Loli's told me no yelling this show. Before the show, she was adamant, you're not going to yell on this show. I don't like it when you yell on the show. And I yelled a minute ago when I read off Kali Rashad's name. So maybe I get a pass for that one. Maybe I get a pass for that one.
That's fair. She's gonna be okay with that. I promise. Yeah. RC, bull spit, bullseye. What do you got?
Well, my bullseye was going to be Robert, because, and I've said it before in comments, he's an artist. He's able to capture those moments in football, in the stands, where they touch you. And I was going to thank him for, doing that special, but getting always my good side. You know what I mean? I never have to worry. Did I look too fat in that position or did I look goofy? He always catches me at the right angle. So I love that about him. And again, he really makes that connection. He makes that bridge between just football and emotion. And he does it with such ease and artistry. I just love it. My Bulls fit, we've talked about it. It's the lack of connection with the Brahmas. And if they could take a lesson from the Gunslingers, it would be how to connect with the community, how to connect with all of the fans, not a certain handful of ones, but all of them, and make the fans feel special and appreciated. And I think that's the key element that the Brahmas are missing, that they can learn a lot from the Gunslingers because they have that down pat. They have it like if they can bottle it up and sell it to all those other 17 teams that might be coming into that league, because they have moved the bar higher, bigger, better, more energetic than you can look at the different games and there's a huge difference between our production and everyone else's production.
It almost feels like, and look, like I can say this because the Brahmas don't do much for us anyway, so that's not like they're going to take anything away from me. It's almost like it's not fair. It seems like the Brahmas do this level work to connect with the San Antonio football fan base, the San Antonio fan base, and they get these results.
Right.
Like they didn't blow it out of the water attendance wise, but they had a decent showing. The Gunslingers do this level work and they get below, they end up below in results as far as ticket sales and the press that they get and all of those things. And I know why that is. I realize that the UFL is this machine that has Danny Garcia and The Rock's name attached to it. They have ESPN and Fox, and they have those things behind them. And I get all of that. I understand why it happens. It just almost feels unfair when you see James and Jordan and April and Weston and Robert and all of those people that work so very hard. And you're like, they deserve not better, but the same sort of results that the Brahmas, are getting.
Right.
Because they're working their butts off to create something amazing. Abel Chavez Garcia, Bullspit, the season ending too soon. I'm going to tell you something. I don't want to say glad the season's ending, but ready for the season. I'm ready for a break. I'm ready for some time to just enjoy football without, Leo said earlier, I want to enjoy a football game without having to take mental notes about what we need to talk about. That's going to be nice. And I'm looking forward to that, but I'm ready. I'm going to be ready for the season to be back before it's back. I promise. Bullseye, getting to ride or die all spring long with the Smoking Guns posse. We appreciate that. We really, really do.
Yep.
Personally, my bullseye is just the amazing Gunslingers organization, top to bottom, from Don and Pam all the way down through James and Stephanie, Jordan and April, Weston, Robert, all of the guys over at TSP, Jay Riley, Mark Kusenberger, Ralph that sits beside me, Marcus that did our sound. It is very rare that you look around you in a moment like the game and you start looking for who is the weak link here, and there's not one. Which makes me wonder, am I the weak link? And that's probably the case. If you don't see anybody else as the weak link, maybe you are the weak link. But looking around and seeing a bunch of people who are not only giving 100% effort, but really, really good at what they do, is amazing. There is no piece of this that I look at and go, man, everything's great except that. Everything would be great if that person would figure out their thing. It just doesn't happen around the Gunslingers organization. Everybody is good and everybody is giving it their all. And that's really, really amazing to see that working the way it works.
It's special.
It is. It's special. And my bull spit of the year is what you guys said, what both of you have said. Leo, Chase Garbers, like that was a ratty moment that I think I will always remember.
Oh yeah.
Just the nothing burger that he came out and laid in the middle of a championship game.
I went to St. Louis for that.
Right. Yeah, I didn't even do that, but yeah, right. That was rough. The other thing you said about the division in San Antonio professional football fandom, we got to get rid of that. Like, we got to get over that. There's no reason for that to be a thing. We love both of these teams. I hope they're both back next year. I'll be cheering both of them on. If the IFA gets their act together, I'll be cheering that on too. I don't know. We've heard very little, but it's not time for that. So, those are all good things. But I got to tell you, my bull spit for San Antonio professional football is the community around San Antonio. The city of San Antonio needs to pay attention.
Yeah.
Both of these things need your support.
Right.
You say you love football. You love the NFL. You love college football. You show up for UTSA games. You say you love football and you want professional football in San Antonio. And when it comes, it is like pulling teeth to get you guys to games, whether they're Brahmas games or Gunslingers games. It
True.
just doesn't feel like you really want professional football in San Antonio sometimes. There is a close knit, and what's crazy is I'm preaching to the choir here because the people that are listening or interacting with our show
They're
are
the
like,
same
not
ones."
me, not me, and no, not us, but the greater San Antonio area. There are 2 million people,
Yeah.
2.5 if you widen it out and include some of the surrounding area. There's 2.5 million people, and you're telling me we can't get 7,000 people to show up for a Gunslinger game? Do you realize what a percentage 7,000 is to 2.5 million? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Shame.
You say you want professional football. You whine and cry every time the NFL goes to Jacksonville or uses San Antonio as the bargaining chip to get a new stadium for Kansas City or Oakland or Las Vegas. You whine and you cry about it, and you say, we should have a professional football team. Jerry Jones won't let us have one. Is it Jerry Jones, or is it that you're not showing up when there are opportunities? So this would really be my bull spit is the Senate, not you that's watching the game. I'm not bad-mouthing you. You're doing a great job. But the greater San Antonio area, like, do you deserve professional football? Can you handle it? Because I'm telling you right now, if I'm the NFL executives and I'm looking at Brahma's numbers and even Gunslingers numbers, I'm not even considering San Antonio. Not right now. I'm not seeing it. And Heidi, you're right. Doing our best. We do our best to spread word, wear t-shirts everywhere, tell people how much fun the games are. I am, again, not talking to you guys. You are all probably just as upset as I am.
Keep doing what you're doing. Yeah.
And keep wearing our shirts, Heidi.
Do what you do.
We noticed.
And get the word out. And maybe we'll get there. But right now, I'm going to say something that maybe on a show about San Antonio professional football I shouldn't say. We need to stop talking about the NFL. We need to stop talking about it. It ain't going to happen. And it's not Jerry Jones' fault. Stop blaming that guy. I like to blame Jerry Jones for stuff. Believe me, I love to blame Jerry Jones for stuff. But I don't think we can blame him on this.
No.
Until San Antonio shows up and shows out for the professional football they have, how can you possibly expect more? I don't think we can. I just don't think we can. It can be better. It will be better. Part of it is consistency. Ultimately, we have 2 teams that spent their first year in a new league.
Yep.
The UFL was a new league. It was a merged league from 2 other leagues, but it was a new thing. And this was the Gunslingers' first year in the IFL. With consistency, maybe we grow a fan base that is worthy of NFL football in San Antonio. Maybe we'll get there. I think it's a quick thing. I think once we people get behind it, I think we will see the kind of groundswell that we need. It's happened in UTSA football.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody remembers before Jeff Traylor and after Jeff Traylor as your head coach, but there is a wildly different feeling around UTSA football back in the days before Jeff Traylor and now. I went to a UTSA football game in the Alamo Dome with less than 3,000 people, and that was only a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So
it's changed.
We're getting there. We can get there, and we can get there quickly. But right now, if that's your goal, if that's what you want to see, and that's what we want to see, I would love to see. I will always be a huge diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. I grew up with it. It'll always be my thing. I'm not giving up now. If I haven't given up in the past 26 years, I'm not giving up now. But man, I want professional football in San Antonio. I want to see the NFL in San Antonio. I think that's right, but we don't deserve it right now. We're not there. We've got more work to do. So,
yeah, we need to fill the Alamo Dome for Brahma's games. We need to fill I think I called it the Hemisphere earlier, actually, too. The Freeman Coliseum.
You did.
Show my age. the Freeman Coliseum. We need to fill those up for the San Antonio Gunslingers.
And again, not dogging on you guys that are listening. I
We love
understand that
y'all.
you're doing what you can do. This is not meant as a dig on you. This is a dig on
Everybody else.
San Antonio sports fan that's like, oh, we're as good as Jacksonville. We're good at Kansas City. Why can't we get an NFL team here? If you ain't showing up for the Brahmins and the Gunslingers, you're why. You're why. And you can tell people that. You tell them Philip said, you're the reason.
There you go.
Yeah, not wrong.
You're the reason. We are the Smoking Guns Podcast. We are a podcast that deals with professional football in San Antonio, and we are brought to you by some amazing people. They are patrons, and as I look down this list, these people have been with us all season long. They have not jumped in mid-season. They're not been jumping in and jumping out. These folks have been supporting us throughout the season. Some of them have been supporting us since we opened up Patreon. Those people, Texas Pete, Alfred Rodriguez, who's been with us as the mission highlighter tonight, James Palmer, who you've seen, Jay Washington, who you've seen, Jordan Stubing, who was on the show with us, James Stubing, who was on the show with us, Kim and Greg Nelson, always some of our favorite folks, and Mo and Iris Ferrante. They are all our patrons, and we appreciate and could not have done this season and all of the things that we have done without you. It would not have happened. We would have had to shut this thing down. I don't have the expendable income to pay the bills for this show. I just don't. And so this would not have happened without you guys helping us out. If you want to be a part of that list, just hang out. Those folks are great, and they're supporting us. We're about to go into sort of hibernation mode where we're going to be in and out, and occasionally we'll jump on. Leo and I are talking about doing something completely separate and away from football. We'll continue to discuss that, and we will throw that out there and keep you updated when it happens. But we're going to take a little bit of a hiatus through the NFL, college and NFL football season. We may be around, I don't know. We try to kind of shoot for once a month, but don't hold me to that. If you want to become a patron, do that at the beginning of next year, in January of next year. That's when we're going to need you to jump on board. For those of you that are currently patrons, be paying attention to your email and texts. We have a special event that we want to invite you to, and we want to make sure all of you see it. And so that will be going out very, very soon because we want to put that together pretty quickly within the next couple of weeks. And we think you're really going to enjoy what we have, I'm not taking credit for it, Leo. What Leo and Dolores are putting together for you guys. They're doing the work. I'm just going to show up, and I think RC will do more than she has to because that's who RC is.
It's a group effort, yes.
It is a group effort.
But if you're one of those patrons that I just listed, just keep your eyes on your email and your text messages. You'll be seeing something about that through the Patreon app very, very soon.
Very soon.
What else? What else is there?
The Fuel Network.
Yeah, don't forget the Fuel Network. We may be going on hiatus, but there are other great shows that are all part of the Fuel Network. It is a fan-built, fan-run sports network. It gives you an alternative to corporate sports networks like ESPN and Fox News or Fox Sports. They're not bad. They're just not run by fans, and this is run by fans. Come be a part of that. You can download it to your Roku or your Fire Stick. We are on there, and we are just one of many, many really cool shows that you want to check in with and be a part of.
And I'm part of the A team with RC. Right now we're covering Trey Kingsland. He's a person here in San Antonio who's trying out for the UFL. So we're following his journey. Nice. We're going to be having the female football championship on probably the next couple of weeks. And then we're going to start covering universities who sponsor scholarships for female flag footballs. And we have 12 universities coming on for the next 12 weeks. So we have a lot.
Very, very cool. Very cool. We're headed into the NFL season. Leo,
Yeah.
what are you excited about in the NFL season coming up?
The chance of having a actual franchise quarterback, maybe.
Bo Nix.
Yeah, early indications are very positive. You know, I'm not hearing too much of the negative from the local press in Denver. So maybe they finally got one. I don't know. We'll see. But
he was a solid quarterback in college, and I think that he's worth the attempt. He may end up washing out, but I think he's one of those guys that's worth the try. There are guys that get signed that I don't ever think are worth it. That get drafted. I think he's worth it. I think he's one of those guys that I would take a chance on. RC, what about you? What are you excited about for the NFL season?
I'm excited to continue to follow some of the UFL Commander Day players. Scott Daly is healthy now. He's back with the Lions. Also, Jared Jones-Smith. Last I heard, he was at the Atlanta Falcon camp.
Yep.
So
Cool.
I enjoy following them. It's been 5-6 years since we first started this whole journey together as a podcast and meeting some of these players. And it brings me great joy that I still communicate with the moms, and they've continued with their lives, and they've continued with their passion and their dreams. And we were there from the beginning.
nice.
I love that a Bears fan said nothing about Caleb Williams. That's
I
very
do like
cool.
the Bears. I'm looking forward to that. But I mean, if you in totality, I think that's really what I look forward to when it comes to the NFL. Those connections.
I am most excited about February when the Dallas Cowboys will win the Super Bowl.
Oh Lord!
That's what I'm most excited about.
Wake up, Philip! You're dreaming. You're dreaming,
It's starting
Philip.
already. It's our year. It's our year. Yeah.
Dak Prescott, Super Bowl MVP, and they will hoist the trophy. Yeah, that's what I'm excited. I really am. It's going to be a big year. It's going to be very cool. Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, two guys that deserve it. Hoisting that trophy. CeeDee Lamb back in the fold after he gets his contract. All of those things. Micah Parsons, amazing. He deserves it. I'm very excited. It's very cool to be on the front end of the season knowing that that's how it's going to end, and just being able to drink it all in and take it all in and enjoy all of that.
Drinking
as we
something.
move.
You're drinking something. I don't know what it is. Not Dallas Cowboys, but you're drinking something.
You wouldn't be a Cowboys fan if you didn't say that at the beginning of the year.
Maybe
James
you're
Palmer
lacking
says,
sleep.
Philip, your head's already way too big on that. I do this every year. This is my bit every year, and I will never stop. And you know why? You know why I won't ever stop? Because the
You're
Cowboys will
delusional.
never win another Super Bowl. So this will
He's
always
delusional.
be a funny joke forever, because we will never get to another one. We are cursed. It is awful, but I'm a fan. And I have to go into the year hoping that this is our year. Every year, I have to go in hoping this is it, because this is going to be the year. If they ever, I won't know what to do if they ever win a Super Bowl. I will not be seen for a couple of days, because there will just be tears running down my face, crying.
Would you get a tattoo?
I've always said I wouldn't do that, but man, at
don't
this
tempt him.
point, I might be willing.
So if you ever want to see the Cowboys of the Super Bowl, all you got to do is pull out the old VCR and a VHS tape.
It's
there
on
you
YouTube
go.
now. You can watch them on
Oh.
YouTube now. It's cool.
Oh, okay. You too.
Been there. It is what it is. We're excited about football. We will be back occasionally, but you should not. You should start clearing your Monday nights and Tuesday nights. We will not be here every Monday or Tuesday night to talk about professional football with you, because there's just not any professional football in San Antonio for the next few months to talk about. We've got the UFL schedule. We expect to start up in March. No, not March. I'm sorry. They don't start till May. With the kickoff. Hey, have you been paying attention, Leo, to the NFL kickoff stuff?
As far as the rule change? Yeah, a little bit. Why? What
So
you getting
as
at?
they're getting started with training camp, special teams coordinators are finally getting an opportunity to see how this works with their teams,
Mhm.
like actually
Okay.
run it and see how it works. Overwhelming The article I read today, positive from special teams
yeah,
coordinators and
Okay.
special teams players. They love it. So far, they love it.
Yeah.
And I just want to remind everybody that Daryl Moose Johnson, who I love, said that the reason the UFL did not pick that style of kickoff and instead went with the USFL style of kickoff is that it didn't look like real football.
Yeah.
And now
Shock.
it is the NFL standard.
The irony.
Oops. What a mistake. Time to hit college football on Xbox. I got to get my Xbox first. I still don't have one. My kids are grown. It's time for me to start video gaming again. I got to get a hold of an Xbox. If anybody's got an Xbox One S or X that they're willing to get rid of cheap, reach out to me. I need one. I'm trying to get a hold of one. That's neither here nor there. When it comes to professional football, whether it is played up in Green Bay or over in Arizona, whether it is played in Massachusetts or who am I leaving out? What's the other team?
Frisco?
Frisco. No, not Frisco.
Oh, playing
Uh,
right. Oh, I closed out that page. Who was it?
I did too. Arizona. No, I said Arizona, Green Bay,
San Diego.
Massachusetts, and San
San
Diego.
Oh, yeah.
All the way over in San Diego. Wherever they play professional football, whether it's on the 100-yard field or the 50-yard fight, when it comes to professional football, the 210 has got something to say.
Bang, bang.
All
I
right.
feel like the blow is getting smaller and shorter
The blow? I need
Yeah.
to blow. I need to do it louder and
and
longer.
longer.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
It's it has been different. Something changed about midway through the season. It just doesn't sound like it used to. I don't know if it's
Right?
a pop filter or what it
Hmm.
is, but
Okay. I'll have to work on that.
yeah. Something to improve on, something to make the show even better. Have a good night, James. Good night, Mo.
Yeah, thank you,
Night.
everyone,
Uh,
for joining us. We
be-
really appreciate
Be
it.
looking for an announcement from us very soon about that event. We want to make sure that you're there.
Yes. Absolutely. Oh.
Dolores says he's out of shape. You just called him out, RC.
Oh, yeah.
Let me say this.
I need to work out more, expand my lungs.
As a speech therapist, after you got sick, Leo, I think that affected your lung capacity. That's probably way too much information, but I think that has affected it. So you just may want to work, on that one apparatus that they give you when you have surgery, where you have to suck in those balls to go up. You may want to work on that. Or blowing up balloons, that also helps with your lung capacity. That's just the SLP person in me.
I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. That may have something to do with it. I don't know. Did it start around when I got sick, when I had the vid?
Might
Maybe.
have actually. That's I did not pick up on that, but that's entirely possible.
Well, there you go. I'm sick and I'm recovering. How dare you call me out?
Right? I'm offended.
I do it from love. I have my SLP hat, and sometimes I take it off, but sometimes it pops on my head, and I can't help it.
I'm offended for Leo.
Oh my gosh!
We should all get really offended and yell and scream about something before we really take it in and really mad about something, and then learn that it's not really that at all. That doesn't happen. Nobody does that. Like, nobody gets really upset about something and then finds out that all of that anger was actually misdirected because that wasn't even what that thing was. That
We've all
happens.
gotten upset at
Never.
one point or another on the podcast about something.
That never happens in our society at all.
Yeah.
We thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, the 10, or I guess now down to 9 of you that are left. We look forward to talking to you soon, and keep an eye out for when our next show will be and when a new thing might pop up, if we can make that, pull that together. We still got some discussion to have about that, but I think Leo and I are both interested in talking about some movies.
It'll be fun.
Spending some time, and we want to invite some people to be a part of those conversations. So you may very well see an opportunity to get involved with some of that and be part of the discussion if we do a movie
I know
podcast.
one person who'd be interested.
Who that?
Jerry.
No,
Cool.
Jerry. Oh yeah, yeah. We could get
I
him
don't know.
involved and
Have y'all ever seen his superhero rooms?
Oh yeah.
uh,
I've
yeah,
seen
no, yeah.
some evidence of his fandoms.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think our biggest concern right now is like there's so many we want to talk about. Like
Mhm.
we can only do so much. We won't want to do a weekly show. None of us we're not interested in that at all. But like there's just such a big library of things that we want to talk about. Or at least that's the case for me, that just paring it down is going to be tough. Like, how do you not talk about that? How do you not do Jurassic Park? How do you not do Terminator 2? How do you
Mhm.
not do some of these movies? And so it will be
Lot of
interesting for us to
content.
figure all that out.
A lot.
of content. A lot of content.
Yep.
But I think it'll be fun. So look, James Palmer says, do I need to create a podcast movie, sir? What's funny is most of the movies we're talking about are not things that you can't stream because they're the big stuff that you can find. Like you can find Tombstone. You can find
Mhm.
Jurassic Park. You can find T2. You can find these movies. So
Well, I'm going to go see the Olympics.
oh yeah.
Oh,
I haven't watched
yeah.
any of that today. I watched it for like 2 straight days over the weekend, but I haven't watched any of it today.
USA. That's why I wore this shirt.
USA. All right. We'll see everybody later.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Good night, y'all.